Hi guys, I hope you're all doing well. Today I just wanted to talk to you about something that I came across on my Facebook newsfeed because someone had shared it on my Facebook newsfeed earlier this week, and I wasn't sure about it. I was skeptical about the source, and therefore I was skeptical about the authenticity and the truth of what it was saying. But then later on today, when I was trying to find an article for today's assignment, it was that same topic was addressed, and so I felt like, okay, I need to give this issue further look. And it was the topic of how Sesame Street is adding a new character to their show, and her name's Julia, and that character has autism. And so I was I was intrigued by the idea, and that's why I loved it when I saw it on Facebook, but I just didn't know how valid it was because it was on Facebook. And so, kind of, this article just discusses about how the the show, the intention and the motive behind bringing in this character Julia, who, in fact, by the way, was has been featured on the show once in a book early on, published in 2015. So she's been there, and she's been a long time friend of Elmo's, and so she's brought along again, and she's introduced into the show. And the whole intention and the motive behind why the directors and producers wanted to incorporate Julia into the show is within the spirit of acceptance and friendship. They wanted to have a more inclusive environment where it's okay to have the concept that it's okay to have friends that are different than us. Um, Julia evidently will probably do things that Elmo will. And so displaying that to children is just fostering and cultivating a mindset of acceptance among little children. And so essentially they're just trying to promote understanding among the younger generation. Um, they said that the show, I'm just skimming through the article just to pick out the information for you guys. It said that this episodes can be airing on April 10th, so within a couple weeks. And within that episode, they address behavioral as well as emotional components, behavioral and emotional characteristics that Julia displays. One thing that they actually addressed in the article was when they were trying to originally figure out the characteristics that Julia has that could exemplify autism. They kind of struggled, and they made it clear to the reader of the article that autism is a spectrum disorder. It's not a one-size-fit-all disorder. Therefore, it encompasses multiple cases, and people, are the children that have autism. Their cases vary, their conditions vary, their behaviors vary, their emotional and mental stability vary. And so they tried to just pick out components, like they picked up on stereotypical mannerisms, that was one of them. But as a whole, the directors and producers were just trying to enforce the concept and the theme, the idea that it's okay to have friends that are different than us. And personally, I love that. I really, really love that. One thing that one of the producers was saying was, we're bringing in Julia, it's great, but what do we talk about? And that was something that made me ponder more about. Like, what do we talk? Like, how are they gonna show Julia as a child with autism? How are they gonna do it in a respectful, appropriate manner? Um, well, I was pondering that in light of this week's reading about applied behavior analysis. It just came to mind how I'm sure probably during the show and maybe during the episode or probably later on in the show if they bring her in, the characters will be interacting together and they'll probably be learning new things, new activities, new procedures to activities, new words. And so I was just wondering how will Julia do that? I mean, what's the foundation by which um, Julia will be learning those concepts. Um, and so I was wondering, will they be using like the applied behavior analysis? I mean, after all, it's a very well researched. Research has backed it up. Research studies have definitely backed up the ABA, the applied behavior analysis strategies. They've been proven to be effective. Like I personally believe that it would be, I think, optimal if they incorporated these strategies as their foundation to maybe writing up a script for Julia. Um, that was just one thing that I was pondering in light of reading the article in this week's reading. Um, one thing that also kind of just stood out for me while reading was saying that it's a myth. I think it's on page 90. Yeah, on page 90, it was saying how it's a myth to believe that applied behavior analysis is only limited to the classroom. In fact, explains that it's applied outside the classroom. And earlier in the chapter, it said that applied behavior analysis strategies are applied in a scope of different topics and fields. Like specifically, it says that these analysis strategies have been used in a variety of issues such as depression, weight management, substance use, job performance, and behavior disorders. And so therefore autism was just one of the many issues, one of the many areas where applied behavior analysis strategies are incorporated. Like for instance, I think like the book really highlighted this example of how these strategies could be used, such as on a playground. They gave this example of Enrique. Enrique, a child with autism. The teacher could, first of all, deliver a discriminative stimulus, like slide, to go down the slide. And then she'll prompt Enrique to go down the slide. And then, as a reinforcer, she'll give Enrique a high five. This is a simple idea, a simple procedure that could be easily incorporated in the script when they're writing in the script for Julia and how the other characters interact with Julia. I think it would be a great application of the strategies used with autism in the formal setting in a classroom, but also used in informal settings, such as, in a playground, among friends, in an informal setting like that, especially on TV when it's aired to a plethora of audiences, especially children. I think it would definitely be effective. I don't know, what do you think about that? I think I stretched those two ideas, the news and what we read today, but it definitely was something that I pondered, and I hope you guys maybe could share more insight. Do you have questions, concerns? You want clarifications? I'm more than happy to answer them for you. And if you want to read further more about this article, I just put the link below. So thank you very much.